feel like we're like on E News or something
I
with
know.
the little microphone.
Right.
Are
I
you
know,
wearing today?
right?
Your whip. What's your make?
Hello, makers. Welcome to the Making Conversation podcast, where we chat all about making, the app and the act. I'm Jen, head of marketing for Making. My pronouns are she, her, and my Making app username is Knit Pearl. We have arrived at part 3 of Flock Fiber Festival's vendor meet and greets sneak peeks. Before we dive in to hearing some maker stories, which we love, I wanted to take a moment and talk about some things that we learned. This was like the first time that Making has ever partnered with an event like this, right? Like before, when Making was magazines, they had been to festivals and had booths, but this was a different capacity, right? We were there to collect content for the event. We were there to help tell stories. We were there to help make a connection with people who maybe weren't able to join Flock Fiber Festival in this first year, and kind of take away that FOMO that people can feel when they can't attend events for one reason or another. We definitely learned a lot this go ahead, and not saying that we did anything wrong. I think that all of the content that we collected was fantastic, and I hope that you're all enjoying it. But, it's good to do a little recap like this. Some things that we learned. Wi-Fi is not your friend, so prepare for that. Okay, we knew going into this that we were going to be working with some interesting Wi-Fi. So Jess had told me many times, be prepared for again, like I've been saying in every episode, it's the best Wi-Fi that the Seattle Parks Department can provide. And so, I had tested it on Friday when everybody was using masks. I went back to the back area where we were originally going to set up. I was doing some work and the Wi-Fi wasn't perfect. We never thought it was going to be, but we also, it was going to be good enough. It was, and I did a test and it was fine. Saturday, I went back to the area where we were going to do all of our recordings, and I couldn't connect to the Wi-Fi. Now, this is nobody's fault. Jess actually, with her father's help, I believe, set up like a thing to make the Wi-Fi stronger for Saturday. So, like Jess also had to pivot a lot, but I ended up just being like, all right, we're moving to somewhere else. And so I just took my laptop and like started wandering. Like I went straight to a corner and I was like, I'm starting here and I'm going to go around to every spot that we could possibly set up. We're not going to worry about noise. We're just going to worry about connectivity at this point. And the first spot that I went to, I found a table and it worked and it was great. So we like tucked into this little corner that was like just to the left when you walked into the airplane hangar, and we just set up shop. And it ended up working out pretty well. I was a little bummed that, we were going to be in a back room, so visually I don't know. I would have totally done things differently, right? Like I would have set up like chairs for people to sit and watch. I would have put together some more branded things to be like, Making is here doing vendor interviews. But, that's for next time. Again, we're learning. The other thing is good content is good content. So, along with interesting Wi-Fi, that means that all the recordings are not going to be perfect. And how many times have I said on this podcast that we are not serial? We do not aim to be perfect. Perfection is boring. But, there's parts of the audio that are like, it's okay because the rest of the story is still there. The meat and potatoes, says the vegetarian. The meat and the potatoes are still there. You're rolling with it in the moment. You're rolling with it after with editing. Also, I'm not a fast video editor. That's another thing I've learned. A tech check throughout. So just because a microphone is connected and working in the beginning of the day doesn't mean it will continue to do so. The funny thing is I knew this, like I've been creating content in one way or another for a very long time now. This is not new to me, but we learned that it's not something that we can just let go. And then I think the last thing is communication is key. So I had so many of the vendors tell me that they felt confident because of all of the communication that I provided with, what to expect, when, setting up a schedule, sending the questions ahead of time. All of this was very helpful, especially because a lot of these people, they had never been interviewed before, which is so fantastic because they they tried something new, which hats off to you. I don't have a hat on, but if I did, I would take it off to you, the vendors that had never done this before. So awesome. And you all did such a great job. Also, this means that we've collected content that nobody's heard ever before because they haven't told their stories to people. So that's super fun. I'm really excited to share that with you. All in all, it really was such a great event, and we collected a lot of awesome content. You'll be seeing more of it rolling out as we introduce the vendor interview videos, the full-length ones. We also have maker stories that we recorded at our booth. We just like sharing people's stories, so we're just going to continue to do it. Well, it's time. It's time. Let's head back a few weekends to Flock Fiber Festival and hear a few more vendors talk about their maker journeys. All right, let's kick it off with Andrea from Apple Yarns.
Let's start with your story as a maker. So take me back to the beginning.
My story as a maker is my mom was out of town and I had 3 kids and I was doing the ballet, the gymnastics, the soccer, but you can't talk to people and read at the same, at least I cannot talk to people and read at the same time. So I needed a hobby. So I went to our community college and learned how to knit.
Okay.
But the shop is 16 years old and I probably started knitting 20 years ago.
And do you feel like the seed was kind of planted early on in your childhood by someone?
Family of crafters. Yeah. I mean, I had needlepoint. I had done everything but knitting.
Okay.
Yeah. So everything but knitting. And I had perseverance. I was the dumbest person in my knit class. It took me 3 weeks to learn the long tail cast on. I did not come naturally, but perseverance is my strength.
I am Jean Ann at How of Cerulean Orchid. My pronouns are she, her, and I have a booth here at Flock, and I'm excited to share a little bit about what we do.
Let's talk about you specifically. Tell us your journey as a maker. Where did it start? How did your craftiness get sparked?
I think it started in the womb.
I love it. Yes.
So my mom is a cross stitcher and has done like laser engraving stuff and things like that too. But when my earliest memory is of her cross stitching.
Aww.
And so there's a lot of family like craftiness. My father's a woodworker. So
oh my goodness, that's so cool.
Had it like in my environment child. And so I couldn't not do it.
Yes.
And my parents really encouraged me to like pursue creativity.
Good.
Never said no. They're like, here's some crayons.
I'm Jean. I'm the dyer and owner of Junie and Cy Yarns.
I did notice that on your site, you type out how to say your company name.
Yes.
Do people butcher it all the time?
It's usually when I hear people say it, it's C instead of Cy.
Oh, okay.
Which is understandable because
yes,
it is C.
C.
But
yeah.
Cy is so Junie and Cy is short for my grandkids, Juniper and Silas. And we also live in Snoqualmie,
yes,
which is here and at the base of Mount Cy. And so it's kind of a double, yeah. So it's my amazing logo is the mountain and there's Juniper in there on the design.
First of all, I adore that story. I have climbed Mount Cy and Little Cy. And if you're ever in this area, definitely like venture out to there because it's
at
gorgeous.
Least come see the waterfall because the waterfall's pretty spectacular.
The Snoqualmie Falls is like, yeah, definitely worth it.
It is
for sure. When did like your whole maker journey start? Where did that get sparked?
I've always been a crafty person, but I've never like settled on anything. And I took a knitting class probably about 12 years ago my husband got it for me as a Christmas present. And that was it. And I was hooked and everything else kind of went by the wayside, and I've just knit for it's been like my one craft.
Meet Jessica from Purls and Postulates.
Where did your fiber journey or craft journey really start?
Okay, so I am a self-taught knitter.
Okay.
My mom and I taught ourselves to knit from watching YouTube videos.
Okay.
So I've been knitting for a long time. And then a couple of years ago, I started dyeing yarn more for my friends. Just it seemed like something fun to do, and trying out different things. And I just really enjoyed it. And I love being creative. And obviously, then I have a lot of yarn that I can knit
Mhm.
with. So it's been really fun.
Hey everyone, I'm Reshma and I am the maker and owner of Hello Lavender Design. I make polymer clay stitch markers and earrings for the fiber community.
Love it. Tell us about your journey as a maker. Where did everything begin?
Ever since I could hold a pencil. No.
Perfect.
Yes. No, my mom taught me how to crochet when I was 10 years old. So that's where the fiber part of my
Got
making
it.
journey
Okay.
really began. So I've been crocheting for over 30 years.
Nice.
And I taught myself how to knit about 8 years ago. So my maker journey has begun since I was 10.
That's awesome.
I've been drawing and painting ever since I was a little girl. And it's just been nice to actually do this as a profession and
Yeah.
be an artist. And I'm very excited that I can say that I'm an artist and I get to do it as
Yeah.
a career. And there's just no feeling, like no other feeling that, it's just so joyous and joyful. And I'm just so grateful that I can do this,
Mhm.
full time, because I've had the 9 to 5 job and it was not the same. It's just amazing that I can be an artist.
I am Ashley. I am the owner and dyer for Cerulean Yarn. We are a hand-dyed yarn company based in Raleigh, North Carolina, and we kind of cater to the entire knitting and crochet experience. We have a full market full of things that we make in-house. We have our own line of knitting needles and crochet hooks. We kind of do it all, but I consider myself, in addition to being a dyer, a bit of a storyteller, because the way that we create collections and create colorways is with a lot of emotion and a lot of story behind it.
When did your journey start as a maker? How did everything, creativity, crafts get sparked?
Okay, so this is a little bit of a sad story. Sorry
Okay.
to bring down the vibe. My great grandmother was super big crafter her whole life. She was one of those people that did every kind of craft, and she would like have these phases where she would do like nothing but embroidery for like a year, and then she would leave it behind, and she would do nothing but crochet, and then she even sewed like wedding dresses at one point. She was
Wow.
incredible. She sewed things for fashion shows. Like she just was like my idol.
Yeah.
When she was in her later years and was getting sick and not doing too well, I was in my like early college phase. And I've always been a creative person, but I
Mhm.
hadn't really found crafting. I really liked creative writing, and I liked, doodling and like young, kid crafts.
Yeah.
So I knew I had that creative thing in me, but I hadn't like found a way to like bring it into my life in a meaningful way. And when she was getting sick, I knew that I wanted to look for something more substantial, but I had no idea what. So I was distraught and upset, and I went to the craft store, like from the hospital, went to the craft
Wow.
store. And I was wandering around, and as a college student, I was like, okay, a sewing machine is expensive, and paper stationery stuff is like, I'm not really feeling that. And it seems like a lot of things you got to buy to like start into that.
Yeah.
So all of the areas of the craft store seemed very involved, except for yarn. I was like, I can buy a skein and I can buy a pair of needles, and then I'm set, and I can try this, and it's low stakes, and it feels kind of like me. Everything's like, I was just gravitating toward that part. I took it home. I taught myself on YouTube to knit and crochet. And then, she is no longer with us, and I just kept doing it kind of to remember her through college. And then when I was pregnant with my oldest son, I was making a lot of things for the baby, and I was, very bored because I was not feeling too great. I was at home a lot, was kind of thinking that, I didn't have a clear career path. I was still kind of figuring it out at that point. And my now husband was actually kind of like, why don't you put this online? Because
Yeah.
I wasn't following patterns. I was just kind of making up my own things. And he was like, I think you could post that. And I said, well, all right. And then by the time the baby was born, I had made enough money with my blog and my designs to pay a couple of my bills. And so I said, okay.
Here we go.
I thought I'll keep doing it until I can't pay my bills. If it's not paying,
Yeah.
my bills, then it'll be a hobby again. And
Yeah.
and I'll move on and I'll find something else. And that was 7 years ago. And now here I am at my first festival with a yarn company.
I love it.
Yeah. It's
Wow.
been a wild ride. For
Yeah.
Sure. I never expected to wind up where I did.
I mean, it kind of sounds like grandma's like, hey, I'm still here. This is like,
For
we're
sure.
doing this together.
For sure. He's like, you're welcome.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
had a lot of luck in these 7 years. And part of me thinks like, is it luck? Or is it someone watching out for me?
Yeah.
You know?
Maybe a little bit of both,
A
but
little,
yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So the next part of the podcast is going to be a little bit different and like in a really good way, right? Kind of last minute, Sarah from San Juan Woolworks reached out to Jess, who then forwarded it to me, obviously. And this was the email that she sent. If making isn't totally booked up, we thought it might be fun to team up for a local fiber shed chat involving San Juan Woolworks, Local Color, Abundant Earth, and Skagit Woolen Works to talk about the ways our businesses collaborate to make local yarn and fiber in Western Washington. From raising the sheep and dye plants to carding and spinning. Cheers and see you soon, Sarah. Oh my gosh, I read that and I was like, we are making this happen. And I love a good challenge because we only had 2 mics and there were 4 people and 1 interviewer. So we made it work. We made it work. But it's such a cool story and I'm excited to obviously share the full interview. But these 4 businesses really have made a community about and around fiber. And it's, yeah, I'll let you listen. Enjoy.
I want to hear about how this collective started. I want to hear kind of the story, a little bit about that.
Relied on each other in different ways and gotten to know each other in different ways. And I think just you guys getting your Carter was kind of a pivotal moment for us to realize like how powerful we are as a group, because the process of turning a raw fleece into a beautiful, especially if it's dyed knitting yarn, is so overwhelming. And for one small business to take that on as a cottage mill or farm or whatever is incredibly overwhelming. And if you ask around the country, even the world, you'll hear the same story, that it's just people are burned out and it's, you're spread so thin. And having you guys show up in a way that you can do this thing and I can do this thing and we can share our resources has taken such a load off and really feels like this has been here all along and we're just able to do it in this way right now. And
It's great.
it feels good to me. I mean,
So is the dynamic, instead of you carding and doing, or even just spinning, did you have a carder?
I have a Carter.
Okay.
Yeah.
But like there's a lot of heavy lifting.
I have the whole thing scour to yarn, and Jess and Anna at Schedule and scour and pick and card and
Okay.
dye and other things too. And so she's able to take on jobs that I would turn away because I'm overwhelmed. I don't have time to do it. And if it needs pin drafting or spinning, then I can offer her
That's
those
great.
services instead of interfacing with all the
Yeah.
different customers.
Kind of like force multiplying
Yeah.
with your guys' efforts.
So we were able to work together to do a project where Lydia was like, hey, this is a big project for Sarah. It's a ton of fiber. I've got it picked. Can you just card it for me? Yeah, great. Send it on up. It gets it done that much faster and it gets it done in a more efficient way. And so
And the people doing the work get paid for the work that they do,
Yeah.
and we all benefit.
Yeah. So let's take it back to the production side here. And why don't you share a little bit about kind of your role, both of your role, like in this kind of collective and like what it's been for you?
Yeah, so I guess say more focused on the farm end. So I guess mostly growing sheep and trying to spread the sheep out among people.
You had fin sheep, I think, back in the day. Is that what you still have?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I can't believe I remembered that.
I know. Yeah. Some of the like same sheep that we probably talked
Okay.
about still kicking. So
That's awesome. Okay, Sarah.
Yeah, I guess I'll just add that being a sheep farmer is a pretty tough gig, and there are an awful lot of hurdles, and everything has gotten really, really, really expensive.
Yeah.
It is a tough way to make a living, and a lot of farmers have moved away from doing wool sheep at all because they can't ever make back what it costs to shear them in selling into the commercial market. And that's what's happened to the wool from my island for a long, long time, is it's just gone into the commercial wool pool. And if you get like 30 cents a pound, like you're doing really well. So for me, I wanted to find a way to not just have my own farm yarn to sell, but to actually be able to buy fleeces from my neighbors at a fair price that actually makes it a little more worth their while to try to keep up their wool quality. And having a relationship with Jess and Anna and with Lydia has made that possible in a way that would have been awfully difficult otherwise. Yeah. I think it's amazing that we can make yarn in our local fiber shed. Nobody's farther than like 50 miles apart. Like I can load up my farm truck with my big super sacks of fleece and drive it to Jess's or down to Lydia's and load it up with hay on the way back. And like, it's it feels so much more sustainable to do it this way than to be shipping it across the country to the wool mills back east or anything like that. And the quality of service that we get from these ladies is incredible. I mean, so many farms, like they send out their clip and they get back whatever they get back. There's no dialogue. There's no ability to kind of customize and be like, actually, I'd really like this. And the fact that we got to really design yarns together.
To add to what you're saying about a comment on being local to each other, I mean, we're all aware of how local benefits economy and relationships, but we're in each other's paths on like, I would say like a 6 to 8 week cycle. And so it really is, I'm going past your place. Can I drop some stuff off? I'm going to be here. Can I leave this for you to pick up at so-and-so's place? And
it's really a community. It's a different aspect of community
Very
within the industry.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I'm just listening to you guys. It's, I have a farm and we had a lot of sheep for a number of years and not anymore, but that I think what you guys are doing was something that I was missing there. It's like to do that all by yourself and like also kind of remote. It's incredibly difficult. And so what you guys have kind of happened upon here is pretty awesome. So
I think that's why we got started, and we saw that need for people like Sarah and Emily and the other small family farms that were either scaling back or just getting rid of their sheep farms altogether. It's such a wonderful, if you're doing regenerative agriculture, then sheep are a wonderful addition. But if you can't do something with that wool and it becomes more of a burden and you're losing money on them, that's a net negative. And we wanted to give that wool a purpose and a use back and honestly, help them keep making and keep being financially viable.
yeah.
How could you not absolutely love every single vendor that you've heard stories of? So this is part 3. This is the end of the sneak peeks, y'all. The full videos will start rolling out. So keep an eye in the Making app. Keep an eye on your emails. And I'll probably talk about it here too. So if you are just a podcast listener, first of all, definitely join the community on the Making app. To do so, you're going to go to themakingapp.com. Download the app and sign up and join the amazing multi-craftual community that's there. We're not just, I know a lot of this has been about knitting and fiber and crochet and all these things, but that's not all that the Making app is. The Making app is so much more. Digital art, painting, leather work, woodwork, anything that is like crafty, gardening, cooking, everything, including all the fiber arts. Also, did you know that you can listen to the Making Conversation podcast in the Making app? Yes, you can. Open the app. Tap on Discover and scroll down to podcasts. From there, you will see all of them listed. You can listen while you are updating a project in your studio, because yes, you can track all project details within the Making app. You can listen while you're looking through the marketplace to find a new pattern. And, you can just have it out while you're working on your favorite whip. If you've made it this far and you'd like to sponsor Making Conversation or have us record some cool content at your event, send us a note at hq@makingco.com. Thank you so much for listening/watching. Thank you to all of the vendors. Thank you to Jess. And, we'll see you in the Making app. Bye.